I'm Mason Mount. You're listening to the London is Blue podcast.
And that's right, Chelsea fans. We are back with part 2 of the Leicester match review. If you're unfamiliar with this episode, the second one of the week, it is all about a deeper dive into the match review because we quite literally don't have enough time on the first one. So obviously, Dan and Nick joining me. Gentlemen, welcome back. It's just another day, another city, Nick. It's glad to see you woke up in the same city for once.
It's pleasant to be here. San Francisco is balmy 68 degrees today.
Cool.
Quite lovely. One might even say, Dan, a delight. And it's great, and another week and a half here, and then I'm out. I'm done.
We are inching closer and closer to our trip to London, which we haven't even talked about, really. We should
probably
maybe mention the fact that we are going back to London. Not with our typical XL Tours experience. Stay tuned for more information about that. But as the podcast group, we are heading to London to go watch Chelsea hopefully beat Liverpool, win a Carabao Cup match in the midweek, and beat Brighton, Brandon.
Yeah, the trio is headed over. We are gonna have a blast. Let's just keep it at that. But we are very excited to get over there and check out, obviously, the vibes around Stamford Bridge with Frank in charge, and obviously catch up with friends that we have made over there. So if you're going to be around between the 20th and the 29th of September, let us know. We'd love to meet up and catch up. Otherwise, we will have more on that coming. So in this episode, a lot of what we're going to be talking about are what happened. Minutes for Michy, ? Obviously, he got some today in the dev squad. What happens when Ruben Loftus-Cheek comes back? And then obviously zonal marking. What you doing? I mean, what in the hell is going on with zonal marking? Anyways, real quick. Dan, iTunes reviews. I can't believe this. Every single day. They just roll in.
They keep coming. It's like London buses, right? On theme for our talk about going to London. It's perfect. Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Grant UK 91 and O'Sherry 9 both leaving some wonderful 5-star logs. Loves the fact though that Nick O'Sherry was talking about that they don't have time for the bullshit what that other podcast might have, and they really appreciate that we just get to business. So love the 5-star reviews on Apple Podcasts. Keep them coming. We will read them at the beginning of every episode, and thank you so much for helping us get noticed, get connected with more Chelsea fans, because that's what those reviews do. They help with search optimization and fun tech things like that.
He or she wrote that as if right to me directly, which I appreciated. It was great.
If you've been thinking about jumping on the Patreon bandwagon, now is the time to do it.
We're calling it Patreon now.
Patreon. What? Get out of here. Anyways, if you join our Discord server, which is the $3 level a month or above, Dan, is shipping London is Blue podcast stickers to everyone. If you're looking on YouTube, he is holding it up right now. If not, check out our Instagram as it is on there, and probably our Twitter as well. But these people have all locked down a sticker. We've got Noah, Justine, Callan, Knox, Sterling, Matt, Benjamin, and Luke, and John. We will talk to you in the Discord server. Stickers are going to be shipping out this week. This promo only runs until Saturday. So hurry up and jump on board. It's going to be great. And there's still time to join the fantasy. We're only a couple weeks in, so it's not too late, but I wouldn't really wait much longer than this week, because otherwise Nick might actually be far enough ahead that you can't catch him.
No, he won't be. I'm I'm bad.
I smashed you this week.
You really
did.
I'm so ashamed. I really, my squad is just not turned up. So when you lose to Brandon, that's not good. But yeah, like for everyone who's been a member for a really long time at the $3 level or higher, just thank you, first of all. And then at the end of this week, I think Dan's going to do a bulk shipping thing to everyone. So if you're looking for timing or when you'll receive your sticker, it'll be after Sunday. So we want to make sure to give some more time for people to sign up.
Absolutely. And I just checked the scores. Actually 43-46, Nick, so embarrassingly
close
for me.
Oh, I came back?
All right. So anyways, Nick, go ahead and wrap us up with some discounts for our loyal listeners.
All right, really quick, 10% off World Soccer Shop, code LondonPod. Usually good for free shipping or some free customization, so whatever you want to do there. Talisman caps, 10% off $35 or more, which is the approximate price of one of their lovely caps. Dan is wearing it on the YouTube version of this right now with the code LondonBlue10. You guys have been killing it by supporting us with Talisman. They love it, so keep that up. And then a classic football shirts mega sale coming to you next week. We'll have details of that coming very shortly. All of these things are just value adds for you for listening. Just a little thanks for you.
Awesome. Well, I hope you enjoy it as much as we do. So let's kick it off right away. We've got minutes or tactical issues is the first one up. So M. McAden, I'm just taking a gamble on that one. It says, about the poor second half performance, how much would you credit the amount of minutes played midweek versus other factors like Leicester making adjustments and Chelsea really not coping with them? Shoopy3 asking, was this just tired legs or were we legit outplayed by Leicester? Also, why didn't Frank adjust when the match got away from us? And it did get away from us. We were very fortunate to leave with the point. And then Logan W saying, do you still think Chelsea are getting unlucky? They had tons of chances in the first half and were by far the dominant team. They could have been up 3 or more. At this point, does it come down to them not being fit enough or tactical enough? Nick, in your thoughts and kind of in your impressions now you've had an extra day to let it absorb, a lot of people want to know, was it fatigue versus tactics at this point?
Probably a little bit of both. I mean, I think it was, what you saw against Liverpool was like full concentration, full tactical awareness for the most part for 120 minutes. And I think we played a very good game against Liverpool. I think we came on our show and we're really proud of the performance and how the team came out and showed up. In this game, you saw that for about 25 minutes, and then you saw, Dan, some of the same tactical errors, open back line at the end of the game, some of the same stuff you saw against United. So it just, between the tired legs, which clearly will play a part, and the mental fatigue at the end of the game, they just didn't perform their absolute best, and that, I think, is probably a combination of a lot of things.
Yeah, if I have to break it out into a percentage to really answer the true question, I would say 60% tiredness, fatigue, and then 40% down to tactics. Because I think to try and execute the tactics, you need to be able to run at the opposition for more than 15, 20 minutes. And as we started to get a little bit more tired, as we started to show signs of fading in our kind of standards, in our ability to connect with passes, ability to maintain our lines, that's when things really started to go off the deep end. And so I think with a fit team heading into Norwich this weekend, Brandon, I would imagine that we will look a little sharper than we did, and that should allow us to execute on the tactics a little bit more.
Exactly. I think it's a combination, right? When we were fresh, we were executing exactly how Frank wanted. I mean, he talked about that. It's when we got fatigued. Again, I put a lot of weight into the fact that we played 120 minutes in Istanbul. If you listened to part 1, you probably heard me ranting about it there. So to me, I think that's a big one. But, M. McAden, I think credit should be given to Brendan Rodgers and Leicester. I mean, they weathered that storm early on, and then they did make tactical adjustments and were able to, have a different impression on the match, especially in the second half. And I think that has something to do with it. Now, I think I read somewhere, someone asked if Lampard got outmanaged by Rodgers. I don't know if that's the case. It was probably easier to make tactical changes for Brendan Rodgers. He's been in the job longer than Frank. He has a fresher squad. Frank has a much shallower bench at this point, less people to call on. Like, I actually have some empathy for that in that sense. And I just think that, obviously tactics and fitness go hand in hand, But I wouldn't go so far as saying like Lampard got outclassed or anything by Rodgers or anything like that. Statistics show at the end of the match, it was extremely 50-50 split down the middle. So that's kind of where I'm at.
And Leicester are a good team. They are not an amazing team, but they are a good team. And good teams have shown an ability across the league in the last 1 to 2 seasons that a good team can be ultra competitive with even what we would classify as the top 4, top 6 teams in the Premier League. It is not absolutely this gaping chasm of talent anymore. It's not.
Competition's good. All right, next one is minutes for Michy, ? At Will Bleeds Blue says, at some point, does Michy come into play? Part of me thinks we should have gone Michy for Pedro and gone to a 4-4-2 to get the go-ahead goal. Well, Dan, conveniently today, 3 goals, 3 points, and a clean sheet in PL2. This is a tweet from the @ChelseaFC handle. Tony Rudiger gets 90 minutes. Mbatshuayi bags a brace. And Tino Anjorin rounds off the scoring at Stamford Bridge. A good night's work. That's right, Dan. They put Michy in against the boys, and boy, oh boy, did he dominate.
Yeah, he had a chance to feast, and it was wonderful. It's what Michy is prone to do. And he also missed a ton of shots for those who were also watching or had a chance because it thankfully was streaming on the Fit Stand app. But yeah, A, Michy wasn't available because he wasn't part of the squad. B, I'm a little concerned that this was a fitness type of performance for him, that he wasn't actually, either deemed fit enough or wasn't part of the structure of the squad over the last 2 Premier League games. It's interesting to me. And 3, it's good to see somebody scoring goals. So I don't know if he'll get minutes. I hope that he will because I think he can score. And I don't know, Nick. I think we have to be able to try all of them out and see if any of them can hit a run of form.
Yeah, 2 Premier League matches, 0 goals from strikers. Both Olivier Giroud and Tammy both have a start. I think the team looks better with Giroud in there. And for people who listen to this podcast, they probably think I'm a broken fucking record at this point. But that's pretty much how I've always felt. The last couple of years, I think he's probably our best all-around striker. But again, he had a couple of chances, didn't really put them in. We need someone to score these goals. It can't just be Mason Mount. It can't just be the occasional Pedro goal. We need him to come from everywhere. And N'Golo Kante almost getting one yesterday would have been really nice. But if Michy is just kind of that guy who's in the right position at all times, scoring crap loads of poached goals, that works for me too. Whatever it needs to take. I don't think he is maybe Brandon as convincing in like a 2 up front based on what I saw in the preseason. So take that for what it is. But I'd be willing to give it a try at this point. And if he's carrying an injury and needs to get back to full fitness, that's a whole other thing though.
Right. Michy had some really good service today. I think that was a huge help. I don't know. He's not the best hold-up striker. He's very much an in-the-box poacher. But the way we play is the striker has to be involved in the build-up. They have to be kind of involved in getting the ball down the field to get it into the box. And so I just kind of wonder if that's not his strong suit, and therefore, Lampard just needs more help going, getting into the attacking phase. So, look, this is good for him. I was talking to, I think it was a Couch Critic, on Twitter. And I was like, to me, this seems like a minor league baseball play. You send him down to the reserves, you get him some minutes, get him some confidence, and then you bring him back up. I don't think we're going to see Michy playing with the dev squad week in, week out. This is a special circumstance. And obviously, Rudiger is a complete write-off. This is purely to get minutes and get fitness, nothing more than that. But I think people are a little bit more concerned with Michy. He's a fan favorite. I think a lot of us are surprised at just how far down the pecking order he seems right now. But Lampard has an idea. He has a thought, and we'll see if Michy at the end of the day has to prove himself in training to deserve minutes. And I hope he does. I hope he gets it.
Well, and Frank Lampard in attendance at this match as well.
Not the only one.
He is basically the all-team manager for Chelsea. Yeah. He is not just attending first-team matches. He is going to dev squad matches, UAT matches. He is very much showing that this is a total club approach, which is very, very cool.
Look, you have first-team players going to the U18 match as well. You have literally the entire coaching staff at the match tonight. Look, this is that unity that we've been talking about, that a lot of the season ticket holders that people on social media love to complain and bag about. This is the stuff they're talking about, and it makes a difference. All right, next one. Can we be successful with Kante and Jorginho? So Aerith Muggle asking, do you think we can be successful long-term with the Jorginho Kante 2 at the base? Personally, every time I see Kante marauding upfield, and I'm not sure we have anyone adequately screening our back four, I get a really uncomfortable knot in my stomach. Nick, look, N'Golo Kante can cover the entire earth on his own. But like Shane says here, his concern is what happens when he gets caught upfield and we get countered. I mean, Jorginho is not the best defender. We know that.
Yeah, it was why when we were talking about the formation yesterday, Dan, that I was pretty sure that we were playing a 4-3-3 based on how far upfield N'Golo was. I think this still has a lot of work to do, Aerith Muggle. To me, I still truly believe that N'Golo Kante is a world-class central defensive midfielder, that he can be a destroyer, that he can sit back, that he can protect a back four. So far, we haven't really seen him do that, to be fair. We've seen him much further upfield. We've seen him contributing to the attack and winning the ball higher up the pitch. But just the way we played in a 4-3-3 versus the way we play in a 4-2-3-1, right now it seems to me like a 4-3-3 might be the way to get a couple results under our belt. And if that's the case, then I feel a lot better that we have at least three midfielders doing a lot of good work. I don't know how you feel though, Dan.
I feel like I am more concerned about the instruction than the formation. Yeah, I think we are getting into a lot of this formation analysis around 4-2-3-1 versus 4-3-3, or when it goes into being a 4-2-4, when we have, we're going at attack versus potentially dropping to like a 5 occasionally when we don't, or we are going to a 4-4-2 when we don't have it because we're pressing the striker. Like, to me, the more important thing is what are the instructions we're giving the players. And if Kante has the instruction to be a full box-to-box midfielder, that's where maybe the concern for me is, of whomever has to be partnered next to him has to also be someone who is an extremely capable box-box midfielder. And this is where you were excited maybe that Bakayoko, again, earlier in the preseason, there was the hope that maybe the two of them together would absolutely give you this dominant force that would lock it down. But that's not what's happening. I think where I might be excited, and I might be leading into the next question a little too much, Brandon, but someone like Loftus-Cheek partnering with N'Golo Kante, as a two, is way more exciting to me, because they're going to give you the ability to really win the ball, turn it over, play it forward, but also move back quickly enough and kind of move in tandem to take care of business.
Well, yeah, I think that's where we're kind of leading. So Chase asking, when Ruben Loftus-Cheek comes back, what's the best midfield combo? 3. Right? Midfield 3? Are you good with that?
Yeah, I think so. I'd almost, I think the battle when Ruben comes back is not necessarily with, Kovacic and Jorginho, because I think he just kind of adds to that group. I think it almost solidifies we play a 4-3-3 based on his contributions last year in the left side of that 3. And I think the battle really then becomes your Barkley, your Callum, your Pulisic, the front 3 right now as they're operating, and Pedro and Willian and all these guys. I think it really shores up a really small amount of opportunities for quite a few of those guys, because when he's on, and he scored 10 goals last year and basically a half of a season with all the injuries he had, you have to put him in the team. We don't have anyone else like him, Dan, and I don't personally see him as a pivot guy. I don't know if he tracks back well enough.
I don't know if I agree with that. I think some of the runs that he kind of was able to pull back and play forward, he's probably one of the best technical dribblers of the ball on our team currently. He was basically number 2 behind Hazard last season in terms of just being able to finesse the ball around players. And at 6'4", just is stupid that he should be able to have that level of finesse. But yeah, I think you have to figure out how do you get your best players on the pitch. And if you start kind of going by a hierarchical standing and say like Ruben Loftus-Cheek is a top 10 player, then, or top 3 player, then who else are we going to kind of maybe make way for him? And I think that's where the conversation is going, Brandon, is if, Ruben Loftus-Cheek comes in, who is potentially going to miss out? And I think, it could be someone like Pulisic. It could be someone like an extra attacker, crazily enough, Kante tried it. He was trying Ruben in a top 2. Like, is it potentially an option for Ruben to kind of play like a shadow striker, play as if we play a 4-4-1, with the one striker and then Ruben right behind him? That's an option too.
4-4-1-1.
Yeah.
Look, Ruben's a box-to-box guy. He is great when he's running at people. To be fair, though, we've seen him have some nasty turns in the midfield and stuff like that with pressure on his back. But I still like the 4-3-3 with him in there because he can cover so much ground, especially N'Golo Kante can cover so much ground. And then you're leaving, I think, Kovacic and Jorginho to fight out for that holding spot. If you still play 3 across the front, depending on how you do it, you can almost play the false 9. Anyway, I don't know. I still like the 4-3-3 situation with him in it, and I want him to run. I want him to run at people. I want him to run back, destroy people. I want him to do what he does, and that's exactly it. So
yeah, like when he's healthy, the 2 players that are under the most threat from his return are Ross Barkley and Mason Mount, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And it's not because neither one of them are good enough. It's just that Ruben, especially with a lack of height on this team, besides our striker, he just adds something on set pieces that we don't currently have with those guys, and also is just, again, like Dan said, a wonderful dribbler of the ball. I think a really great passer of the ball, and was improving last year before he got fucking hurt again. And then, chipped in some really good goals. He started to just make that kind of left side of the 18-yard box shot his. And a couple, the one against Brighton, Dan was unstoppable. So, if he's going to do that and he's going to contribute goals and he's going to, be a steal type of guy in the midfield, he's in for me.
Yeah, I would rather Frank Lampard have selection headaches than not have be looking at his roster and thinking there's not enough players there.
Amen.
All right. Well, I like that. Okay. Well, hold up. Let's take a really quick break. Again, huge thank you to these sponsors. They support us financially, so we appreciate you all listening to them. When we get back, we're gonna be talking about zonal marking and formations. Then we're gonna be talking about youth versus experience, maybe even a little bit of Willian sprinkled in when it comes to experience. So again, we will be right back. All right. Back at it. We're going right into zonal marking. Pablo Tescobar asking, zonal marking, why are we using it to defend free kicks and corners when it is clearly ineffective? Iosine asking, how do we improve on set pieces? It is not ever going to be as simple as man marking, as we're a pretty short side, which is why we're marking zonally in the first place. Look, Nick, I know you love a good zonal marking, okay? But I'm interested in the fact that we are a short team. Do you think that plays into it? To me, I'm confused because Frank seems like your old English guy. You on him. That's it. Don't get beat. But he's not.
I mean, there are probably a couple of factors at play, and without diving into each individual tactic, I think outside of Zuma, maybe Christensen, maybe Tammy and or Olivier, I don't see a lot of really good set piece defenders in there from a man marking perspective. It doesn't mean to me, by the way, that they shouldn't try, because I think anytime you have Zuma just kind of standing there in the middle of space, I'm just like, that's such a wasted moment for him. He should just be able to latch on to the other team's best set piece threat and give him a real challenge for the ball. But yeah, I mean, height factors into it. I also think that the way Chelsea want to break factors into it on offense, Dan. Like, should we be able to defend one of these set pieces for once? Being in space instead of being latched onto someone allows you to break quicker the other way. So I think it all does factor in. I don't love it, if I'm honest.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. I think the concern around height is definitely one that jumps to top of mind for me. And a lot of it's also commitment. It's just a desire to want to beat the man and own the box and not allow the other person to just worm their way out of potentially the block that you've kind of placed them in. So as much of it is just, a lot of it's desire. And I think we have a lot of mental lapses. You see that, we get players shrugged off on. We have players who maybe aren't attending or kind of being aware of where that runner is going or where that runner is coming in from behind him. So I just think that there's a lot in terms of commitment and coaching on this piece, that because until you have taller personnel, maybe even a little bit stronger personnel to really make it difficult for the the opposition team, I don't foresee us getting stronger on set pieces until some of that's resolved, and part of that's personnel, Brandon.
Yeah, I think that it's not always a desire. It's also awareness. Think of the goal we gave up against Leicester. Asby didn't realize Ndidi was on his back shoulder. It is the same thing when I think it wasn't the Liverpool goal. It must have been one of the United goals. Again, Asby didn't check his back shoulder, and then Martial ran right across him and thighed it in. And I think that's a big part of it is just awareness. And I'm not trying to pick on Azpilicueta right now. That's not my agenda. So the players also have to be switched on and aware and know if they're in their zone, you have to go attack the ball and do that. But part of the reason I like the man-to-man is that you get to kind of knock them off their desired path from the beginning. You're able to jump into them a little bit and knock them off balance. There's tactics you can do, even if you're beat to the ball, to make it impossible for them to get a clean look at it. And zonal, when you're beat, you're beat. But here's the thing. I have to caveat this is, Maurizio did it. Frank's doing it. Other people do it and do it well. It's just not working for Chelsea for some reason, but it has value. Otherwise, people around Europe wouldn't do it. Just us as fans don't get it at all. We just, unfairly judge it maybe.
I think we would get it if we saw some successful use cases out of it. I think that's where we're struggling is like, I know when Virgil van Dijk locks onto somebody in the box that the likelihood of them getting a header on frame is dramatically goes down. I think Kurt Zouma could very easily play that role. I understand why you would leave, your tallest player at the front so that the opposition pulls a Willian and doesn't, get it past the first man. But at the same point, like Frank has analyzed this. I trust him. I want him to, to be able to pull off his philosophy, but man, it's tough to watch a free header go in after we just did all year of that last year.
Well, we'll have to see. Look, obviously people get beat man to man. It just seems like statistically it's, a better option. So we'll obviously keep an eye on that, see if height plays a difference. But we're not really a tall team in general, so we're going to have to figure something out. Man City aren't a tall team, but they figured it out. So maybe take a page out of their book. So Miles_G10 saying, should the 4-3-3 be our preferred formation, especially since it works so well against Liverpool midweek? Again, Dan, I've kind of caveated this in part one of, I don't think a formation is the answer right now. I think there's a lot of other things go into it. But as you look ahead to Norwich, they play open. They're an attacking team. They love that. a 4-3-3 is an option, as always, for Chelsea. I think that's the good news.
That's where we need to look at it, is just that we have options within the formations that we can use. And obviously we want to stop the Pookie party and prevent him from just running havoc. Obviously he's done very well in his first 2 appearances, absolutely just destroyed it last week with his hat trick. So, yeah, you got to be concerned about the pace that they might try to come out with us, trying to force a breaking of that line. And, maybe with the 3 of Kovacic, Jorginho, and Kante, you're going to have a little bit more security than you would. But, again, it's how well can those then come forward and feed the attack. I mean, I think that we saw you need to be able to keep the possession of the ball. You need to be able to retain that possession and keep it in the attacking phase as well. So it's not just those midfielders, but I think it's the Pulisic, Pedro, Willian, Giroud, Michy, whomever it is, Nick, that are going to have to really do a whole lot and heading into the Norwich match, because if we give the ball away, they are, a newly promoted team, but they have the look of a fighter.
Yeah, this is not going to be easy. As a caveat, this is not going to be easy. Theme of Chelsea season, okay? This is, to me, just going to be a really difficult year. I mean, beyond the fact that when we play every average goalkeeper, they have the best game of their career against us, and you're going to come up against a striker in form. I think that Chelsea still have to find a way to win. They have to win. And once you win, the confidence of winning is kind of within your team. I think we have to exercise a couple of those demons this week. I would go, a little bit more attacking against, Norwich. So I could see a 4-2-3-1 if the right personnel was in place personally. But that, to me, the 4-2-3-1, I think works best right now with Jorginho and Kovacic in the pivot. And that would mean taking N'Golo Kante out for a week, which I don't know if I'm super comfortable with. So, I don't know. I think there's a lot in there. 4-3-3 has looked so far like our best formation just from a style of play, Brandon. But, it will depend on the press and what Lampard wants to do up top.
Tiny sample, guys. We're talking very, very small sample. 4-3-3 also looked like shit with Bakayoko and Drinkwater in it, so it's not like it's.
But outliers. Come on, with the team, with the real team in there, it's.
Dude, that's like store brand level. Okay, we're getting the real Jif. We're not going and getting the bargain basement.
Hey, I'm just saying, it's not like it's just a magic bullet. Like, you still have to execute. Like I said, maybe it's the right matchup for Liverpool. We only have one sample. I think that it's good that we hopefully have some options, but it's good to point out we played 4-2-3-1 quite a bit in preseason. It was okay. We've used the 4-2-3-1 in both of our Premier League matches. It's been terrible. So we'll have to kind of see. But I expect adjustments from Frank. I think that's something that he will do, is he's going to make changes heading into this Norwich match. And formation could be one of those things. Definitely substitutions, I'd expect. All right, so the last one that we have here is youth versus experience. So Big Joshy81 saying, do we just go complete young team once everyone is healthy, get Pedro, Willian, and Aspie out of there? And then on the other end, Mr. Thurman saying, Willian, sell him before the end of the European window, ? Could Kennedy be worse than whatever that was? So this is something, Nick, we pretty much know Lampard's stance on, experience versus youth. He's leaning very heavily towards the youth, but you kind of have a couple extremes here of Big Joshy and Mr. Thurman are giving us situations where it's all youth. You're selling Willian, you're putting Ruben, Callum, Mason, Pools, everyone that 25 and under is the new rule.
So there are a couple of things here. Like let's take Willian as the first option, Dan. He was just given the number 10. He has a 2-year kind of lease essentially, unless he's doing a David Luiz and causing problems in the dressing room. I don't think attrition is the right answer for us right now, considering we can't go replace him. add into the fact that Callum Hudson-Odoi has not yet signed his 5-year contract, or that it's not yet been announced, that would seem like a fool's errand to me, even though he did not play well at the weekend.
Ooh, what a rumor that it's signed but not official potentially. Ooh.
Yeah, look, I'm here to start rumors on the show.
A lot of people said Callum's would be announced by now, Dan. Obviously, it's not. Care for Youth even saying, hey, my bad, I said it was done. It's not. He still seems to think that it is done, just not public. And obviously, knowing your agenda against Azpilicueta and Willian, clearly you want all the youth, obviously. This trend will continue.
Oh, that's great. It's so wonderful. You're the best, Brandon. Your sass this season has
I hear that a lot.
unparalleled. You are in mid-season form. You are Champions League semi-action sassitude right now, and it is just
the best.
Wonderful. Anyway, I think that you can't go full youth. I think that you have to have a mix of the experience and then have the younger players brought into the side in a thoughtful manner. But you talk about, look, we're fielding Premier League proven players like Kurt Zouma, like Christensen. We are playing Azpilicueta right now. You have Kepa, who's got a full season now in. So, yes, while we're seeing opportunities for Mount and opportunities for Tammy, they're also in positions of huge need where the competition in those positions is a little higher. I think Reece James will not walk right into replacing Azpilicueta, but I think he's going to push the envelope. He's going to make it, hopefully difficult, because in all these positions, I just want the best player to play. And if it is the youth, that's great. If it is the more experienced player, that's fine too, because whatever lineup that goes out there and gets 3 points on Saturday, and then on the following Saturday, and the next match after that, Nick, is the lineup that I want out there. And I think we have put someone in place to go make those tough decisions, and I think Frank will have to figure out what's the appropriate balance of youth to experience in these lineups.
Yeah, I mean, speed factors in, experience factors in, like all of these things. You need a balance in your team. Again, we said this, and our friends at the Fancast have said this too. If we just played all the youth, as they're affectionately known, in this team, we'd finish in the relegation zone legitimately. There does need to be experience. There does need to be world-class talent. And, N'Golo Kante ain't moving anywhere for, anyone. I think Olivier Giroud is going to give Tammy all he can handle up front. And then Bats has to combat both of them. If you think that Aspi is just going to let Reece James take his job, I think you haven't watched the last 7 years of what a fiery competitor he can be. And Willian just was given the number 10 shirt, and we'll see if he lives up to that reputation. He's been Brazil's number 10. He was number 10 at Shakhtar. There's a lot to consider here, but I would guess that competition will breed good results for us. And when Callum comes back and Ruben comes back and Reece comes back and Rudiger comes back and all these guys that are injured are back, it's only going to be good for this team. There are too many matches as well for just a starting 11 to be out there for 56. It's just never going to happen.
Right. I think that's like the good part about it is we have a lot of minutes to play. I mean, we've already experienced that in the first week of the Premier League season. We need the depth. Depth creates competition, especially these young players. And I think with Mason, kind of being the first to break through, he's really gonna motivate the Callum and the Reece James, I think, to not settle for being on the roster. They're not going to be a squad player. They're going to be looking for their chance to get time because they know if they get close, Frank's going to go with the youth. As long as you're close to the senior player, he's going to go with the youth because there's a long, career ahead of them, you hope. And also, I mean, that's what Frank wants. Frank wants Chelsea players in the lineup. And he also wants to create the pathway for these players to get, because he understands how important it is. I'm sure Jody has talked his ear off about how valuable that pipeline of players. Anyways, it's just Yeah. So,
and Brandon, that's a key point, though, the valuation, and not to get like too much in the financial side of it, but if you think about it this way, is that you make, somewhere in the range of 70 to 80 million pounds for being in the Champions League. You make somewhere, if you went in and get deep into it, 39 to 42 million for being in the Europa League. If you get 3 or 4 players that become first-team players who are English and homegrown, as we've seen Maguire go for 80 plus, let's just say all of them average out to being around 40. So now you have 160 million pounds of players that you have produced that you don't have to go out and buy. It is almost better, just from a financial standpoint, to get 4 players who become first-teamers for Chelsea this season than to qualify for the Champions League again.
No, well,
just financially.
Again, they got to prove themselves, but the good news is Frank is ready to give them opportunities, which is great. It is super, super great from Frank. So
super great or just regular great?
I mean, super Frankie Lampard, super, super great. Just it rhymes, Nick. You know what I'm saying? Anyways, with the Leicester match, is there anything else you guys maybe pulled out that we haven't talked about at this time? Anything that you've noticed or maybe want to kind of connect the dots on? Dan, anything else?
No, nothing else. I think the one thing that I was really enjoying was going back through and looking at the photos that everybody had. They were sharing the Insta stories that people had. One of our great listeners, Dane, he and his daughter ran into Callum outside the bridge, and just like the energy, the atmosphere, even after 2 results or 3 results that maybe didn't go our way necessarily, everybody's still in a great spirit. Everybody's in a great mood, Nick, and that's a good thing. That's what I saw. What about you?
Yeah, it was cool that Mason Mount reposted our Insta story to his. That was pretty cool.
Love our boy Mason.
My deep ass hungover voice on his Insta story is probably not welcome.
Mason,
to the earballs. Yeah, come on, go get him. So that was cool. And yeah, just again, patience is the operative word this season. If you're feeling down, if you're feeling like this team isn't living up to early expectations, if you feel like there's not a real strategy involved or whatever, I mean, we have to give them time. My dad uses the phrase, you have to break a few eggs to make a cake. It's going to be that a little bit. And, we do this every week, and we've done it for 348 episodes. So I think our appetite for patience is probably there already. But, again, I just really want people to enjoy the maybe a little bit of the struggle this year, because the ideal scenario is that we are back and better than ever when we can buy the appropriate talent to fit the needs of this team after we kind of give them all a chance to prove themselves.
Right. That's it. I mean, just listen to the fan cast. They said the Cock Tavern was absolutely full, shoulder to shoulder.
Can't wait.
Said, these spirits are so high. Even after the Man United result, Leicester wasn't great, but everyone is still so positive on having Frank at the helm. There's just an overwhelming amount of confidence with them. And I think, look, they've been living it for decades. They have a good idea, what the vibes are around the club, and if it's a good moment for the club or not. And they couldn't be happier, which gives me a lot of confidence and excitement as well. So again, a lot of things we covered today: experience versus youth. Talked about zonal marking, our best formation. What do we do with Ruben Loftus-Cheek when he's healthy? Kante Jorginho, are they a good double pivot? What do we do with Michy? What else? Oh, and then obviously fatigue versus tactics at the very, very beginning. So let us know what you think on social media. Email us, whatever you need to do to get a hold of us. And then obviously a reminder, we're doing the special offer of shipping you a London is Blue Pod sticker for free if you join our Discord. That place is blown up today. Shane started a thread saying, who are your 10 favorite Chelsea players of all time, which is really cool,
oh
right?
My God.
Yeah, so there's some really cool lists going on in there right now with people. And again, it's not best, it's just favorite. So it's completely subjective. So that's what you can get in the Discord server. So check it out. We will be back after this weekend's match, Chelsea fans. So you get a couple days off from us, but we will be back delivering the goods after Norwich. So until next time, Chelsea fans, you know what to do. Keep the blue flag flying high.